Welcome to a captivating journey through the history of the space race. In this condensed exploration, we'll delve into the monumental moments and fierce competition that shaped the race to the stars. If you're as fascinated by space history as we are, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more riveting stories. After World War II, a fierce ideological standoff emerged between the United States and the Soviet Union, famously known as the Cold War. This conflict unfolded on multiple fronts, from the U.S. involvement in Vietnam to the nuclear arms race. However, another significant battleground emerged: the race to pioneer space exploration. The primary objective of this space race was to achieve the groundbreaking feat of launching an unmanned object, a satellite, into successful orbit around Earth. The United States initiated plans for this endeavor as early as 1954, according to a NASA article. But on October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union made an historic announcement, revealing their successful launch of Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite. Just a month later, they furthered their celestial accomplishments by sending Sputnik 2 into orbit, with a living passenger aboard, Laika the dog. Marking the Soviets as the first to venture beyond Earth's boundaries with a living being, as documented by the Royal Museum's Greenwich. In the United States, this news of the Soviet Union's extraterrestrial achievement triggered widespread panic. Brian C. Odom, acting chief historian for NASA, noted that while President Eisenhower initially viewed Sputnik as a technological milestone, rather than an existential threat, the American public saw it differently. They perceived it as a monumental Cold War competition. In the aftermath of Sputnik's launch, it became evident that a private organization was necessary to oversee the burgeoning American space program, as indicated by NASA records. In late 1957, America's initial satellite attempt, Vanguard TV-3, faced an immediate setback when it crashed back onto the launch pad, in stark contrast to the Soviet successes. Although the successful launch of Explorer 1 on January 31, 1958, alleviated this setback, the decision was made to establish a private entity to lead the nation's space endeavors. Several factors influenced this decision. President Eisenhower grappled with determining which branch of the military should manage launch vehicle development. However, this internal competition among various branches proved problematic. Eisenhower aimed to disentangle military branches from competing with each other and instead sought to place space exploration under a government agency dedicated to peaceful, open communication. NASA officially commenced operations on October 1, 1958. Nevertheless, the organization's early years bore little resemblance to the powerhouse it would become. In its initial stages, NASA navigated the complex landscape of space exploration, striving to define its overarching objectives, funding priorities, and scientific pursuits. These formative years, especially from 1958 to 1961, witnessed NASA's quest to establish its identity and purpose. The race for space dominance continued with pioneering human missions. On April 12, 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin achieved a momentous milestone by becoming the first human to orbit Earth during a 108-minute flight. This accomplishment catapulted Gagarin to Soviet stardom, although he was prevented from returning to space due to concerns that an accident could compromise his propaganda value. Tragically, Gagarin's life met an untimely end on March 27, 1968, during a routine training flight. Within a month of Gagarin's historic flight, on May 5, 1961, the United States caught up with their Soviet counterparts, when Navy test pilot Alan Shepard became the second human in space. However, Shepard's capsule design limited his celestial observations, as noted in his flight report. Shepard's mission underscored the relentless pursuit of space exploration during this era. President Kennedy's commitment to the lunar program marked a pivotal turning point, igniting NASA's resource allocation and determination to land an astronaut on the Moon. As the space race persisted, it was not without peril. On January 27, 1967, tragedy struck the U.S. space program when a flash fire engulfed the Apollo 1 capsule during a simulated launch for the lunar module. This disaster marked the program's first astronaut fatality. Similarly, the Soviet space program faced its own heart-wrenching loss when cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov perished on April 24, 1967, due to a tangled parachute during Soyuz 1's descent. Despite advancements in contemporary spaceflight, one enduring truth remains: space exploration remains an arduous endeavor. Challenges from the early years persist, serving as a reminder of the relentless determination required. From their origins as nuclear delivery systems in the Mercury and Gemini programs, rockets evolved to carry astronauts, but the enduring complexity of space exploration has never waned. President Kennedy's iconic speech on September 12, 1962, at Rice University Stadium established a resolute objective for Americans in the ongoing space race: to land a man on the moon through the Apollo program. Kennedy's vision encapsulated the essence of the endeavor, highlighting that it was not the pursuit of the easy path but rather the challenging one that would galvanize the nation's spirit and ingenuity. Kennedy's clarion call followed an earlier address to Congress on May 25, 1961, prompted by Yuri Gagarin's historic spaceflight. These speeches signaled a monumental shift, resulting in an 89% increase in NASA's budget and a long-term lunar focus for the organization's research. The space race fundamentally revolved around reaching the moon, as Kennedy saw it as a propaganda coup. During a time when newly independent nations sought to define their political systems, the race to the moon showcased American technological prowess and the virtues of democracy as an alternative to the Soviet model of communism. The culmination of the space race arrived on July 16, 1969, with the launch of Apollo 11 from the Kennedy Space Center. 4 days later, at 10:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time on July 20, Neil Armstrong descended from the lunar module, becoming the first human to set foot on the moon. Despite persistent conspiracy theories suggesting the moon landing was a hoax, the event captivated over 500 million viewers. The event captivated over 500 million viewers worldwide through televised broadcasts. Apollo 11 marked an unequivocal victory for the United States over the Soviet Union, which had faced repeated failures in its lunar program. Prior to Apollo 11, the Soviets made 11 unsuccessful attempts to achieve lunar landings between 1963 and 1965. Their efforts transitioned to robotic missions due to technical issues, with Luna 15 serving as the last Soviet lunar mission before Apollo 11. However, Luna 15's communication was lost, and it is suspected to have crash-landed on the moon's surface. In the years following these landmark achievements, both the United States and the Soviet Union continued to chalk up significant milestones in space exploration. The United States achieved the first interplanetary flyby with Mariner 2's voyage past Venus in 1962, followed by the first Mars flyby in 1965 with Mariner 4. The Soviets propelled Valentina Tereshkova into space in 1963, making them the first nation to send a woman into orbit. Other countries, including Canada, France, Japan, and China, also entered the realm of space exploration in the early 1960s. Nevertheless, following the triumphs of the Apollo program, the perception that the United States had won the space race became widely accepted. As the Cold War drew to a close, both superpowers found common ground in space cooperation, leading to the inception of the International Space Station in 1998. The 1970s marked a period of improved relations and discussions on matters such as arms control. Post-moon landing, the Soviet space program shifted its focus toward launching the first space station into orbit. Tragically, the Soyuz 11 astronauts lost their lives due to a faulty valve during their mission, marking the sole instance of human fatalities in space. In 1975, as a symbol of superpower cooperation, the United States and the USSR executed the Apollo-Soyuz mission. This joint endeavor involved an Apollo shuttle docking with the Soyuz mission, culminating in a historic handshake between commanders Tom Stafford and Alexei Leonov, a moment broadcast globally. This event can be viewed as a symbolic end to the space race. Although the space race's intense rivalry concluded, its profound impact remains indelible. The Cold War backdrop heightened the significance of space exploration, accelerating technological progress. Without the impetus provided by the Apollo program, the trajectory of American technology may have diverged. The moon landing's influence reverberated throughout American society and technology, reshaping the nation's role on the global stage. Thank you for joining us on this incredible voyage through history. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. Stay tuned for more exciting adventures in the world of knowledge and discovery. Until next time, keep exploring.